Good day, beautiful people. My name is Janine Cruz Pierceta, the last reporter from Group 1 who are assigned to discuss the Chapter 6 validity, and my part is to continue the everyday psychometrics. So our topic outline, everyday psychometric techniques for preventing and remedying adverse impact and or instituting an affirmative action program. So intended learning outcome at the end of this topic, we would be able to name and describe the different psychometric techniques for preventing or remedying adverse impact and for instituting an affirmative action program. Previously, we have encountered different perspectives about the adjustment of test scores by group membership. So my part is to introduce different psychometric techniques to account those test fairness considering the protective classes. So before diving into different techniques, let us first define the adverse impact and affirmative action, which are already discussed in the IO psychology. So adverse impact means that a particular employment decision results in negative consequences more often for members of one race, sex, or national origin than for members of another race, sex, or national origin. Affirmative action are set of procedures designed to eliminate unlawful discrimination among applicants, remedy the results of such prior discrimination, and prevent such discrimination in the future. The first technique is addition of points. It is simply adding a constant number of points to the test score of members of a particular group. So the purpose of the point addition is to reduce or eliminate observed differences between groups. So in other words, addition of points is into adding considerate points to the member of a particular group or the minority group. The second technique is differential scoring of items, which is also known as the empirical keying by group. So this technique incorporates group membership information not in adjusting a raw score on a test but is deriving the score in the first place. So the application of technique may involve the scoring of some items for members of one group but not scoring the same test items for the members of another group. So differential scoring of items happen when two groups of same abilities level have different chances of correctly answering an item because they are from different groups. The third technique is elimination of items based on differential item functioning. So this procedure entails removing from a test any items found to be inappropriately favor one group's test performance over another's. So ideally, the intent of the elimination of a certain test item is not to make the test easier for any group, but simply to make the test fairer. So it is simply eliminating the test items that that would be that would favor the dominant group. So pag inalis na yung if we eliminate items that favors the dominant group, we could consider the test itself that it is valid and it is fair for the test takers. The fourth technique is the differential cutoffs. So differential cutoffs are set for members of different groups. So for example, a passing score for members of one group is 61, whereas a passing score for members of another group is 70. So as with the addition of points, the purpose of differential cutoffs is to reduce or eliminate observed differences between the groups. So the use of differential cutoffs promotes fairness in terms of making it in line or directed to one certain group when deriving their test scores. So the fifth technique is the separate list. So it is the different list of test takers scores are established by group membership. So for each list, test performance of test takers is ranked in top-down manner. Users of the test course for selection purposes may alternate selection from the different lists. So separate list is separating the separating the group members to its group membership, and then making and then calculating the test scores through that separate list. The next technique The next technique is the within group norming. So the use of this technique is to remedy for adverse impact if members of different groups tend to perform differently on a particular test. So within group norming entails that the conversion of all raw scores into percentile scores or standard scores based on the test performance of one's own group or group membership. So, if an individual's test taker is being compared only with other members of his or her own group, then and it is race is the primary criterion for the group membership, then it is established to be called as race norming. So within group norming, has the same sense like the differential cutoffs, which promotes comparison of a member test score within the group he or she belonged. So the sixth technique is the banding. So the effect of banding of test scores is to make equivalent all scores that fall within a particular range or band. So this is an idea creating ranges within which test scores are treated as being the same. So for example, a thousand of raw scores on a test may be transformed to a stanine having a value of 1 to 9. So all scores that fall within each of the stanine boundaries will be treated as the same by the test users as either equivalent or subject to some additional selection criteria. So another example is the grouping of scores into grade as done in many academic settings. So a grade that is equivalent to 99 to 100 is considered a numerical value of 1. An equivalent of 96 to 98 is considered a numerical value of 1.25, and a score equivalent to 93 to 95 is considered a numerical value of 1.50, and so on. So it is simply grouping the test scores into ranges and treating the scores in that range as equivalent. So there are two types of banding, the sliding band and the fixed band. The seventh and the last technique is the preference policies. In the interest of affirmative action, reverse discrimination, or some other policy deemed to be in the interest of society at large, a SAS user might establish a policy of preference based on group membership. So, for example, if a municipal fire department, so to increase the representation of female personnel in its rank, it might institute a test-related policy deemed to do just that. So, a key provision in this policy might be that when a female and a male earned equal score on the test used for hiring, the female will be hired since it is a policy to increase the representation of the female personnel. However, preference policies entails on giving an equal opportunity for application, but uh, that is giving into consideration for affirmative action by the sense of non-minority applicant must be must overpass the minority group in terms of requirements or test scores to be chosen for the position. So if ever that the non-minority have the same score and the qualification as the minority individual, since it is a preferential policies to increase the representation of a certain group, certain group, then the chance of the minority for hiring is the real option. So that is the 7 technique. For the summary on my part, on preventing and remedying adverse impact, an institution or the test users could use different techniques such as adding additional point differential scoring, elimination of items on differential item functioning, differential cutoffs, separate lists, within group norming, banding, and preference policies. So these techniques also could be used for implementing affirmative action program that will reduce the unlawful discrimination to minorities and to increase fairness in and to increase fairness. So this is my reference. That is all. Thank you.